Welcome to Life Beyond BS, where we ditch the belief systems and the bullshit and get real about life. Here it's about awareness, choice, and creating joy that actually lasts. No perfection, just honest talk and powerful change. I'm your host, Heather McNally, and let's get into it. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Life Beyond BS. I'm Heather McNally. I am your host, and I am loving podcasting. It is so much fun because the conversations are amazing. And today we're going to have another one of those with my mentor. Her name is Clare Garner. Clare is the voice behind Real and Raw Revolution. She is the founder of the Speak to Scale magazine, Speak to Scale agency, and the Raw and Real podcast. She's a strategist for women who lead with truth, scale with soul, and refuse to water down their message. Known for collapsing timelines and cracking open the real voice beneath the polished brand, Clare helps women turn their story into power and their presence into profit. Her work fuses deep energetics with bold strategy because leadership isn't about visibility. It's about voice. And I'm so thrilled to have Clare here. I met Clare because she posted about her podcast looking for guests on a Facebook post that I saw. And something said, okay, you need to apply for this one. And so I did. And that was it. Like we were connected. She was somebody that I immediately clicked with. And everything that she stands for with the real and raw and just using your voice is it's authenticity. It's everything that spoke to me that I hadn't necessarily found before. And I knew that this was somebody I needed in my world. So, Clare, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, you're so welcome. I was so honored to be here with you and get to be part of this amazing podcast that you're bringing into the world as well.
Thank you. Right along with you, girl. So I just introduced you, and it's amazing. What you're doing is absolutely phenomenal. And I've been watching you do this in real time, which is so much fun. But what I want to know is a little bit about who Claire is behind all of that, behind all of the accolades and everything that you've done. Who are you at your heart and soul?
Do you know what? At my heart and soul, I'm a big kid. That's what I am. And, whenever anyone, and I ask people, I ask guests all the time, right? Like, what's your top three, like, things about you and who are you? And it's so hard to, like, fit ourselves into those boxes. But I think really the thing about me is I love fun and I love to be having fun. And a lot of what I class as fun, some other people might not, right? Like for me, my work and my businesses and everything that I do and create is absolutely fun to my core, as well as, I'm a mum of two girls. I home educate my youngest, mum of 7 girls as well. We recently relocated to the countryside from London. I love travel. I love experiencing life and I love just stretching myself to the max, right? Just like, what am I really capable of in this lifetime? And that's, I guess, who I am at my core.
Yeah, and that's so much fun. And I have to say, I say it all the time too. I'm like, I'm a child at heart.
Yeah.
I've got some injuries going on that I've been dealing with, and there's moments where I feel like my body is like 95, but my brain, I'm like, I'm somewhere between 13 and 30, depending on the day.
Yes.
So I love that. And I think that having that, and you tell me what you think, I think that having that childlike quality just keeps you in joy, not 24/7, but keeps you in that joyous state. And I feel like you can look at the world with wonder.
Yeah, and it's just, the world can be a heavy place.
Mm.
And I have a lot of friends who aren't necessarily in my normal circles of, entrepreneurialism and that kind of thing, what I would call like the normies. And and I hear it repeat quite often of life's hard. And whilst I believe there's an element of that to be true, also like no. Like, we get to enjoy it. And of course, there are situations and experiences and moments and seasons that can feel heavy and hard. But do I believe life as a whole is hard? I don't think I do. I believe it's a journey that we're here to experience and to actually enjoy, even in those moments that might feel hard. It's like, where can we find the joy? Where can we find the glimmers? Where can we find the lessons? Where can we find the hope? And when we can look at it from that perspective, everything feels so much lighter.
Yes. And I do wonder really quickly, do you feel like that you've always been that person? Because I can tell you from my experience in my life, but we all go through wonderful things and hardships and everything in between. And I think that I always had a spirit of wanting to be childlike and feeling that, but I also had some heavy things that happened to me in my life that caused me to have periods of time when I went into deep depressions, unfortunately.
Mm.
And I hope that hasn't happened for you, but do you feel like that spirit's always been there? Have you had to find it when
I
you
think
maybe had
it's
hard times?
always, yeah, no, it's always been in me. I think definitely when I was a kid and a teenager, always in me. I was then in an abusive relationship for 15 years, so from the age of 18 to 33. That season was heavy. It
Mhm.
was, anyone listening will know there's a spark that is put out in you when you're in those situations. But I did manage to still find glimmers and I did
Mhm.
still have moments and I did still have those little speckles of hope through that season. And I think that's part of the reason why I was able to eventually leave, even though it took me a little while.
Yeah.
But
Well, you were definitely young when you got
yeah.
married then. So, do you feel like you had any limiting beliefs that held you there for a while that you needed
Oh,
to overcome?
so many. I mean, so many. I mean, the irony is we didn't actually get married until I was 30. So
Okay.
I actually, I was with him for a long time before we even got married. And even when we got married, at that point, I knew that I shouldn't be in that relationship, but I was still clinging on to the fairy tale of wanting to marry the father of my children and wanting that, picture perfect scenario. And maybe if we got married, he might eventually change. I mean,
Mhm.
we all know that story.
Yep.
But but yeah, regarding limiting beliefs, I mean, so many. And I think really my journey of life has been about wanting to find validation outside of myself.
Mhm.
And that's always what I was chasing love, chasing validation, chasing worthiness, chasing acceptance, even from everything other than this.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what needed to change.
Yeah. And it's pretty wild. There's a lot of people that are understanding what limiting beliefs are, but I don't think a lot of people know that they're in you by the age of 7 most of the time. And so you have these beliefs inside you and they're systems that guide you because we're running on our unconscious, right? And one of the things that you said was that you were chasing that fairy tale that the world told you
Yeah.
it was out there. It's marry the man of your dreams and the father of your children and everything will be wonderful. And that's just not how life is. And that's one of my things is breaking those belief systems and that bullshit that the world tells us that we believe because of what society has put on us and what society wants us to believe and follow. And so bravo to you for breaking through that and making decisions that were best for yourself. And I'm wondering, so what do you feel was one of the biggest belief systems that you had to unlearn specifically to go from living in that perfect polished state to finding your real and raw voice and to go, I'm breaking out of this?
Oh, do you know, that's a tricky question.
There's a lot to it, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if I know the answer to that
Mm,
because what I can tell you is that I knew for a long time that I wanted to leave, and it was fear that kept
mm,
me there. It was the fear, it was like better the devil you know, right? So the fear of staying was not as strong as the fear of leaving.
mhm.
And so that's why I stayed. It wasn't even necessarily a belief. It was literally, I thought he would kill me. That
Yeah.
that is what kept me there.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, I don't know if I know the answer to that.
Mm,
I think there were a lot of stories over the years that I clung on to, and there were a lot of things to be healed when I left that have taken, several years. And I still, to this day, am healing. And this is nearly
mhm,
7 years later now. Um, haven't even been in a serious relationship since I left him 7 years ago, so
mhm.
there's a whole other journey to go
Right.
on. I'm sure we'll bring up a whole load of new things when that happens. But yeah, in regards to your specific question, Heather, I don't know if I know the answer to that, being completely honest. I think for me, it was a case of getting to the point of strength where
Mm,
I could overcome my fear.
yeah. And so fear it's interesting. So what's your definition of fear?
Well, now is very different to what it was.
Okay.
I mean, my definition of fear now is safety. It's an
Yeah.
illusion.
Yeah.
It's something that tries to keep you exactly where you are, to keep you safe. Obviously, your listeners will know this if you're into the mindset work and the
Mm,
subconscious work. It's literally, a safety mechanism. Back then, it was something that felt like a barrier. It was
mhm,
something that felt like a deep, dark cave that I was too scared to walk into because I didn't know what would be in there, what I would have to face, right? Like there could be big, scary monsters. There could be like this grizzly saber-toothed tiger that was going to get me. And I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And at least the fear that I had was certain. And I knew the grizzly monster and I knew what it looked like and I knew how it acted and I knew, how to potentially avoid those situations. Whereas what was in the cave was unknown. And that was what my fear was back then.
yeah. Absolutely. And that's the whole thing that is wild is that our brain has not evolved as quickly as we
Yeah.
have in so many ways as a society. And so we look at fear, and fear is our brain is literally trying to keep us alive. So, like you mentioned, the saber-toothed tiger, that's literally what our brain is doing. It's saying, if you move, you may be eaten. And it's not the case for all the fears. There are some things that absolutely, if I jump off of this, I'm going to hurt something. But if you are looking at trying to make a change in your life, I want everyone to realize that fear is your brain trying to keep you safe, as you said. And what's on the other side of that fear could be the most beautiful thing you ever did. And so I'm so proud of you for taking that leap and doing it because look at what you've done. So you stepped out of that and then you started to move into entrepreneurship. So what got you to the point where you said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start my own business.
Well, do you know what? So I was actually an entrepreneur before I left.
Okay.
So I started my first business 12 years ago, which still runs to this day. It's a corporate organization. Very boring to anyone in your world, but it's a market leader in what it does. I have a team who run it now. I'm very hands off these days. Um, but so I actually became an entrepreneur when I was still in that relationship because I've known since I was a kid that I wanted to be my own boss. I
Hmm.
I never ever had any inclination to work for someone else. It was just not something that I ever thought I wanted. And whilst I did go down the employment route for a little part of my younger adulthood because I didn't know what I wanted to do as an entrepreneur, and I was just like, you know what, I'll figure it out, right? I need to make money before then, so I'll just kind of take whatever job I can get and I'll figure it out. And I did figure it out. Um, so yeah, I started 12 years ago. But what I will say, Heather, is when I left, I had my spiritual awakening.
Hmm.
And when that happened, that's when everything skyrocketed. So I started my second business, I started my third business, I started magnetizing more money. I started stepping into coaching and personal development and really understanding myself and really what's the word I'm looking for? Realizing the possibility of what it is that I had always desired.
Hmm.
And before it was just like a pipe dream, right? But
Yeah.
then it was like, oh, I can actually do this.
Hmm.
I can actually make this happen. And it started happening very, very quickly when I
Yeah.
stepped into that world.
That's so beautiful. And I just keep in my mind, I keep hearing the word confidence. And I
Mm.
think that confidence is doing. It's not just a feeling, it's doing and proving to yourself that you can do it. And it builds more confidence and more confidence. So would you say that developing your own company, becoming an entrepreneur started to give you confidence to say, this is not what I want for my life and this is what I want instead?
Yes, I've never thought of that before, to be honest. I guess so. I think it's very interesting, right? Because people look at me and they think, how were you ever in an abusive relationship?
Hmm.
Because I am very confident. I am a big personality and I know what I want. I'm assertive, I'm independent, I'm all of these things. And even when I was in that relationship, I was all of these things.
Hmm.
And I lived like this dual life. So
Hmm.
even before I started my business, even in work, I was getting managerial roles at a very young age. I was, working up the ranks. I was earning £1,000 a week at the age of 21, doing 20 hours a week. Like I was flying high, some might say. And yet I would come home like a quivering wreck, like scared to open my own front door. And so I've lived with this duality of kind of two very, very different lives for most of my adulthood. And I guess it just got to a point where the pull of one life was stronger than clinging to the other. And yeah, I guess you could say, the confidence that I was able to muster through having my own business and really growing that and developing that probably had a helping hand. And of course, to be able to support myself and my children financially, right?
Right.
To know that I could leave and still have a roof over our heads and be okay.
Yeah. And I can completely relate to that duality because even though I had a husband at a young age, I met him when I was 17. We started dating right after I turned 18. We've now been together 35 years, married 30 years. I hated myself, but I loved life. And it was that conflict between loving this life and wanting things and wanting to be happy but hating myself, and the awakening and the work to do on yourself truly starts opening your mind, and once you start
Mm.
seeing things you can't stop seeing them.
Yes.
And that's a thing. And I think that, so you started a business and then you've gone on to start many other businesses, so tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, the journey has been wild.
I
I
love the
mean,
journey.
I have started many businesses. I have burnt down many businesses. I have pivoted more times than most people have even had hot dinners. I am a master at pivoting and I'm a master at moving. And I mean, you know this, Heather, obviously from being in my mentorship spaces, but I'm not afraid to fail. And that's my biggest asset is, can I swear on this podcast?
Oh, please do.
Okay. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I will try as many things as humanly possible in my lifetime because the quicker I fail at things, the quicker I figure it out.
Mhm.
And I think too many people are too scared of getting something wrong that they don't make the moves that are actually going to reveal the next step.
And can
And
I
so,
just say that was me for the longest time. And here I am podcasting, right? But I started it in October. I thought about it for probably 2 to 3 years. And before that, I thought about doing a blog for about 6 to 7 years. And I was
wow.
so afraid that what I said wouldn't matter, that people would be offended, that maybe I'm going to sound stupid or look stupid, that, so many fears, all those fears. And then it took me learning more about myself, learning about more about the world and energetics and my brain and what it's doing for me and what it's not doing for me, and mentorship and connecting with people to make me go, yeah, I mean, I am capable of this. And so now my fear is like, even when it comes up, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I was
Yes.
planning on doing this podcast maybe in January. Oh, we'll see. Next thing you know, I went, nope. Middle of September, I said, I am not stopping anymore. I'm not doing this to myself anymore. So I love that you learned this lesson so much sooner than I did. And that's really one of the big things that I want to help people do in life is I want to have guests like you on here to talk about this kind of thing because if you don't fail, you don't move. If you
Yeah.
don't try,
Yeah.
so what's failure do? You learn lessons from it. You
Yeah.
learn
And
lessons from
failure isn't even what we think it is, right? Like our
it.
egos think that failure means like something about us. And I know we've talked about this in the
Mhm.
mastermind. Like failure is just literally our ego telling us that there should have been a specific outcome at a specific time. That's
Right.
all it is. So if we can take our ego out of it and just look at the data, look at the feedback, look at the information, and then extract that and be like, oh, okay, like that didn't feel good or that didn't, you know, do what I thought it would do. So let me try something else. Or, this is just feedback for us to learn from and move from and just do it quicker, people, because
Yeah.
the quicker you do it, the quicker you get to the other side.
I absolutely 100% wasted in my mind, but it's not wasted at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like all those years of thinking and thinking and thinking and not doing, I held myself back. Now, I still did other things in my life, and I'm
Yeah.
very happy that I did, and I'm proud of what I did. But I held myself back and I wish I had done things sooner. And so yeah, let's let that be a lesson to people that fear will hold you back. And what is on the other side of fear? Beauty, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
people think of failure and oh, I'm gonna look like an idiot, whatever. Not really. And I know
And
we've
most
talked
people
about
don't
this.
even notice, right?
Yeah.
Like we get so in our heads, like everyone's gonna laugh at me, everyone's gonna judge me, no one's ever gonna work with me again. Like the reality is, the cold hard reality is, you can have 100,000 followers, and maybe 1% of them might even notice, and probably like 1% of that might actually care, a tiny little smidgen. But the cold hard reality is, no one cares as much as you do. So if you can just get out of your own way and just do it, like actually what people are doing is they're applauding you for your journey. They are
Mhm.
watching with awe at how you move. And I know for me, that is why I resonate with the people that I do, because not because I'm perfect, not because I get everything right, but because I'm not scared to go and go and go and go again.
Yeah. And I've told you, I mean, I've sent you messages and said to you when we've talked on our lives that I'm just so impressed by how you do it. And it used to be, and this is an old timey thing. It's like you get a job, you work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you retire and hopefully have some time to yourself. And a lot of people don't do anything, and so they start losing mobility and mentally, and it's sad, and they start disconnecting. Nope, like that's not what I want. And I love watching you do it because it makes me say, well, you know what? If I need to pivot, I pivot,
Yeah.
and what's beautiful is that you don't have to stay stuck in one thing. Just because you said I'm going to do this doesn't mean that you don't grow and change. And
Yeah.
so that's
And
just
that you can't do
fantastic.
other things,
Yeah.
right? Like, obviously when you did my bio, and it was funny because I hope you don't mind me sharing. You asked me
Yeah.
obviously before we recorded, do you have a bio? And I'm like, I do now
And that's what
because
you said. And
I don't have one
yeah.
because honestly, because the last one that I created was probably about a year ago, and like a million gazillion things have changed in my world since then, and I just haven't bothered creating one
Yeah.
since. So it was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's what happens. Like a year ago, I became involved in a networking group. I ended up getting into a group where I got to speak and write a chapter in a book, and now I have a podcast. And I'm like, wait, how did that all happen in a year? It's just
Yeah.
because I just made decisions and I decided to jump into it. So,
Yeah.
what I would love to know is we connected over this Real and Raw, and we'll talk about the event that you have coming up that I'm super excited about. But how did you get into the Raw talks? What made you
Yeah.
say, this is what I want to start doing? And it's evolved, of course, but it still has that base of a
Mm.
raw talk and being vulnerable.
Yeah. So the real and raw journey is. really close to my heart because I didn't think of it. It wasn't something that, I sat down one day and mapped out. Like, it was born through my breakdown, quite literally. So the long story short is, God, what, 2 years ago now, I found myself in a mentorship container, myself. I was kind of a bit lost within the coaching industry. I didn't really know where I lay with it. I'm like, I'm good at lots of different things. And I was like, well, I'm really good at starting businesses. I'm really good at like branding and strategy because I've always been arty and kind of creative. And I'm really passionate about like identity. And so there were all these different things. And I didn't quite know where I fit. And what happened is very, very quickly, I found myself just completely lost in the online space, constantly consuming, constantly looking at everyone else, thinking, why have they got it all figured out? And I don't. Like, what have they got that I haven't got? What am I missing? What is the secret? What is the key? Why won't anyone give it to me? Like, it was literally that. And it got to a point where I didn't know who I was anymore. And, every post that I created, it was like trying to say the right thing, right? It was like, okay, this will be the one that they resonate with. This will be the one that lands. This will be the one that, sets everything on fire. And it wasn't me. It was just what I thought I should be. And then, I mean, that happened for several months until there was a moment I was on holiday in Turkey. My old OGs will know this story. I was on holiday. I was on the balcony in Turkey. There was zero internet there. It was the worst week of my life because I couldn't do any freaking work at the time. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I had a call with my mentor scheduled. For some reason, we decided to do it on Zoom, even though there was like no internet. So I'm here, like trying to see her, can't see her, breaking up halfway through. And I am just in floods of tears. And I'm like, I just don't know what to do anymore. Tell me what to do because it's not working. And she said to me, Claire, are you happy? And it was like pin drop, right? It was like, fuck. Like, of course I'm not freaking happy, or I wouldn't be here crying to you. But after that bravado, it was like, no, I'm not. And then she was like, so why are you pushing so hard? And I was like, I don't know, because like I feel like this is what I'm meant to be doing. Anyway, from that moment, I knew that I had to just let everything go. I had to stop pushing, stop forcing, stop trying, stop proving, and had to start being. And I ended up going on this journey. I stopped everything that I was doing. I stopped selling anything. I stopped identifying as the coach that I was at the time. And I was like, look, I'm not. I'm not who I was, right? I have nothing to offer you right now, but I'm going on this journey of self-exploration. Like, if you want to come and join me, like, fine, but there's nothing to sell you. Like, so whatever. And that journey led me to finding my self-expression and to finding my fun again and finding what lit me up and allowing myself to play and to find pleasure in the mundane. And I just started documenting it as I was living it for no other reason really other than wanting to. It was just like interesting, right? It's like this would be interesting to document. And through the weeks, obviously, the evolution just kind of started to unfold. And there was one pivotal moment. And I had done this like home photo shoot, and I'd got red lipstick out, and I'd written all of these words that I was feeling at the time. Like, I have the photo on my Instagram somewhere, all over myself. And one of the words was raw, right here across my collarbone. And I remember after that I'd done the photo shoot and I was trying to get this bloody lipstick off, which was not easy. I caught myself in the mirror because I have a big long mirror in my bedroom. And I saw the word and I sat on the edge of my bed and it was just like this download, right? Whatever you want to call it. And it was like real and raw. This is what you've been doing this last few weeks. This is what it is. This is the thing. This is what you're here to lead. This is what it should be like. What you're doing right now. is what you're meant to do. You're meant to be sharing your truth, your realness, your rawness, your human, whatever season you're in. And also, you're meant to lead others to do the same.
Mhm.
Because what I found is that through all the curation and the perfection and the pretty polished pictures that we see online, I couldn't see the humans. I couldn't see the real person behind it all. And that's why I felt so alone because I couldn't see that actually this is very normal. This is
Mm,
part of the journey, but no one that I found was sharing it. And so, real and raw, yes, it's evolved and it's not about darkness or any of that
mm,
anymore. It's about liberation and expansion and courage and confidence and ownership, but it's also about the full spectrum, the whole journey. So when I'm feeling down, I'll share it. When I'm feeling up, hell as hell, I'm going to share it. It's all of it and everything in between. And that's the story of how it was born.
yeah, I love it so much. And like I said, as soon as I met you, we haven't met in person yet, but as soon as I kind of got into your world at all, I was like, oh, I'm really drawn to this woman because this is how I feel. This is what I want for myself. And the thing that I've been thinking about for years and years with originally the blog and now my podcast and the business I'm doing is sharing those moments that maybe ripped me to shreds, but what I learned from it and how I can be and who I can be, and maybe I can help somebody else, and maybe I can help myself during it, and I can connect with other people and connect other people to each other. And it's so beautiful when you're able to just be and let
Yeah.
go of the expectations that you put on yourself, that the world puts on us, because you're right, it's the download, it's the things that will come to us
Yeah.
when we're in those moments of
Yes.
I'm not pushing myself to feel this and do this and I hate what I'm doing and but I'm gonna do it, and people feel your energy. People
Hmm.
feel the energy. Even on the black and white words on a screen, people feel the energy
Absolutely.
behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your
Absolutely.
energy is it's phenomenal. It's contagious. Every time I'm around you, I'm like, so lifted up. It's so much
Like that
fun.
dopamine effect.
Yes, it's definitely the dopamine effect and the oxytocin and all that. And I think, okay, so you started this and what did you get for feedback from people versus what you were getting before?
Ooh, so it was at first, it was like, ooh, this is a bit kind of like weird. This is not normal. But there was always polarity. So
Mhm.
the very first thing that I did is I started something called the Dare to Share Challenge. Again, it was a download that I had like very, very quickly. Like they really started flowing. Once the channel opened, it was like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, let's just like freaking go with it, right? I'm here for it. And so it was called the Dead Share Challenge. And I remember putting a post out in a community I was in at the time, high level entrepreneurs. And I said, look, this is a bit like right wing, left wing, I don't know, one of the wings. I'm like, it's a bit of a curveball. Um, but this is what I want to do, right? I want 30 women to come and join me over the next 30 days. We're just going to do an Instagram live for like 15 minutes. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and I want you to share something that you have never shared publicly before. Can be
Yeah.
anything, right? Like anything, nothing off the table. Can be business, personal, like whatever. But the reason is because I want people to start connecting with a human. I want people to really see who you are and to see that it's not just the highlights and the successes. I want them to see who you really are behind it. And within 24 hours, all of the spaces were filled. And
Nice.
so that was like my internal, like, this is the thing. It was like
Mm.
I already felt it, but now it was like, okay, the universe is giving me feedback, like, this is it. And so I just followed that string. And there was a little bit I remember in the early days, like I would see, the odd post of like, oh, everyone's talking about real and raw, but like we know that it's about curation and
Yeah.
and I was just like, really? But in all
There's always
honesty,
going to be those people.
yeah, and in all honesty, it was not a big thing. And I was so much more empowered because I had never had something that was born through me like that. Like I'd always been trying to find my thing with my head, not my heart. And this was given to me. I didn't think of it. It was given to me. Like whatever you think of that.
Hmm.
And so the what's the word? The conviction that I felt with it was like unwavering, and I couldn't be rocked. I really couldn't. And so that conviction has stayed with me from that moment. And even when I've pivoted, even when, we've now obviously evolved into like speak to scale, but the real and raw is still part of that.
Hmm.
It's the heart, it's the soul. It can never disappear because it's what I stand for. It's the identity of the women that come into my world and the revolution that we're leading. And the speak to scale is like how we do it, right? So it's I forget even what your question was because I have ADHD and my brain goes a million miles an hour.
That's okay. I love it.
But this is what real and raw is, right? Even saying something like that
Right.
on a podcast, on a stage, wherever you are, like being real with your audience, being honest, being vulnerable, allowing yourself to drop the act and realize that people don't want perfection. They
Mhm.
don't want an act. They want to feel you and they want
And I
to
think
see themselves in you.
And I think that we're seeing that more and more with
Mm,
things like TikTok and stuff where people come on and tell stories. You're not looking for a story that's everything's perfect. You're looking for a story of this happened, but then this happened, and then this happened. And they take you on a journey. And I just, that's what life is all about. Life is a journey. Life is every moment. It's not when I get here, when I get there. And people are so disappointed, honestly, often. Like people will get married and they think this is going to be it. We're married. And then within a week after marriage and they've gone on their honeymoon, they come back and they settle into life.
yeah,
They're not living the marriage life. They're like, well, that was a disappointment because now I have nothing. Well, if you're feeling that, that's not where you should be then.
exactly.
So you built the real and raw stage. And we met technically through the podcasting with your podcast post, but I lit up when you talked about this real and raw stage. And I know that you've already done one, but this is your second one coming up in Austin. So tell everybody a little bit about that. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. So Austin is really, really close to my heart. So, yeah, the first event that I did was in London earlier this year, and that was incredible. And it was like getting one under the belt, right?
Mm,
I knew that I wanted to create events for a long time. I never knew how or when or where or what they would be. And again, it all just kind of evolved and expanded very naturally. And then after London, I knew that I wanted to go again. I was like, no, I'm not done, right? Like, we're just getting started. And so when I asked myself, where do I want to do the next one? I had a choice. I had like a moment of, okay, I could do London again. This is obviously where I lived at the time in the UK as well. That would have been easier for sure. And
mhm.
it probably would have been easier to grow in a big way because I have had the audience who had already been to the first one. But I never like to take the easy route. I like a challenge and also I like to expand, and there's no growth in the comfort zone. If I had done that, I would have been doing myself a complete disservice
Mhm.
because it would have felt easier. And I don't want that. There's no enjoyment or excitement in that for me. And so I asked myself, well, okay, Claire, where do you want to do it? And there are two places that it has to be Phoenix, Arizona, or Austin. I can't tell you why. I have no idea why. They're just two places that I felt really drawn to for a long time. And so Austin won it again. I don't know why, probably because I have a thing about cowboys at the moment. And from that moment, it was full steam ahead. Obviously, I'm doing this as a collab with my dear soul sister Natalia, who's obviously one of your mentors as well in our
Yeah.
mastermind. And it's just honestly, Heather, the way that it's flowing at the moment, I did a live about this earlier, and it's just everything. The women that are saying yes, like they're new in my world, and within like minutes, hours, they're buying their tickets, they're upgrading to VIPs, they're coming on my podcast, and they're like, oh my God, I'm there. And
Mm.
it's just the most delicious women. It's just incredible. And for me, my events, they're about the in-person connection.
Mhm.
They're about collapsing that time. And obviously, the Raw Talk stage is kind of where it all began because I was doing like the speaking stuff and really working with speakers. I kind of done a little bit of a pivot from that now, but it's still something that I'm passionate about. And a Raw Talk is really what it says on the tin, right? There's no script, there's no slides, there's no selling. It's about sharing and expanding on that stage
Mhm.
and showing your evolution in real time and letting the audience feel the true you and letting them be on that journey with you. Because when they see themselves in you and they see the opportunity and the potential that you're showing them, that's when they want to be in your world, right? Like you don't need to sell because they're buying anyway. Like they are already bought into you just from you having the sheer courage to do something like that.
Yeah.
And so a raw talk is really beautiful. And I used to phrase it as the opposite of the TEDx, right? Like the complete opposite. Like we don't want curation, we don't want, everything scripted and rehearsed and strategized. We want it real, we want it raw, we want it more human than ever before. And obviously, you are going to be one of our headline speakers, which I am
Yay.
so excited for as well.
I was one of those women who just jumped in. I met
Yeah,
you. I was like, okay, that's it. Like, I need to
yeah,
be involved in this. And the world puts things in your orbit, in your way for you to see and jump on, right?
yeah,
If you're vibrating at this level and it's there and you're pulling it into you, and that's what I feel that happened. The funniest thing is Austin. I live in just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. Austin is where a group of my family who lived here moved to. So now it's my aunt, my uncle, my four cousins, and their 12 kids and all
Oh
their
my God.
spouses. And I'm so excited because not only do I get to go and have this incredible experience, but I also get to connect with my family while I'm down there. And what I think is so beautiful is that it's all about connection. It's all about the universe or God or whatever you believe in, putting things in your way for you, is happening for you. And
Yeah.
oh, the connections. So this brings in the whole body thing for me. And that's, I know what Natalia Richardson, who is the other woman along with you, like you said, your soul sister, who's helping put this on. You two are coordinating together. And she talks so much about the nervous system and about feeling things in your body. And I already get chills thinking about getting up there and talking because I get to do this from a totally different place than I've ever done it. And
Yeah.
you've even said, like, if something happens 5 minutes before you go on stage that helps you shift what you want to say, you know your experience, you know your life, you know what you want to talk about, and that's what's going to pull people in. So I'm all for this. I'm so excited. And we've talked about the speakers, but what else is happening at Real
Oh
Uncool?
my God. What isn't happening might be an easier question. I mean,
Yeah, I can't wait.
honestly, yeah, the coordination that goes into an event like this is quite something when you're behind the scenes. So let me try and remember it all. So we have sound healing, we have some incredible workshops actually with some brilliant, like seven figure, incredible women coming in to do some workshops. We have like cold plunging in the lake or in the pool if anyone dares. Obviously, it's February in Austin, so make up your own mind. We've got oh gosh, what else have we got? We've got breath work, we've got high frequency somatics, we've got food trucks, we've got vendors, we've got the incredible Raw Talk speakers, and oh, and we've got the Wild Wealthy Woman dance party. Like, how can I forget that? With the incredible Andy Love, who's going to be DJing there. I mean, yeah, it's just everything. And I am so excited to experience it myself. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be an experience I will never forget. And I'm
Yeah,
already
absolutely.
just so elevated about it because
Yeah.
the people that I've connected with because of you and Natalia are just I don't know. You ladies have just pulled in such amazing women and the
Mm.
connections are just fantastic. I think it's amazing that I met you. You're in the UK, I'm in the US, and then I'm meeting other women from all over and because of it, and it's just awesome.
I
I
love
do
it.
have one quick question about women who want to get involved in things like this, but hold themselves back. What do you think what have you heard from women that they're afraid to jump in?
Mm. You know what? It never comes up as I'm afraid, right? It comes up as an excuse.
Yes.
Because that is your fear trying to convince you it's logic. So the whole, my calendar doesn't work or I live too far away. I mean, I've heard that from people who lived outside of Austin, like
Mhm.
literally outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? I live in the UK.
Yeah. I've never even been there, seen it. Yeah.
Right? So it's those little things that try and convince you that actually you're being sensible, but in reality, you're just fighting for your comfort zone over your desires. And so let go of the logic, let go of the how, let the how reveal itself. I always say this, like move with conviction. Move
Mhm.
as her, make the decision, make the commitment, draw the line in the sand, because as soon as you do that, your frequency changes. When your frequency changes, you're then on this new timeline. And that is when the how will reveal itself, not
Mhm.
before. It won't reveal itself before, but you have to move first, or the universe will not meet you.
And you have to listen
Yeah.
because, like I said, you put it out there. Okay, I'm doing this in Austin. And then I had to listen to, I want this kind of speech because the real and raw, that is speaking to me. I want to connect with these people. I want to go to Austin. I've been wanting to, and you have to let yourself hear it and feel it and see it and embody it. Being that you're in the UK and I'm in the US, do you feel that there are differences in terms of the belief systems that women have had stopping them from using their real and raw voice and from being vulnerable? Or do you feel it's pretty like we've got different,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
societies, but I'm wondering from your perspective.
Do you know, it's interesting because I actually don't really have a very big UK audience.
Okay.
So for whatever reason, I magnetize a lot of Americans. So I don't really know because I don't work with a lot of Brits for whatever
Okay.
reason, and that's fine. Um, what I will say is I feel a very akin connection to the States,
Hmm.
not as politics, I have to
Yeah.
say.
We won't even
But
go there.
yeah, I don't want to go into it, but just in case anyone's like,
Yeah.
but the energy, the
Mm.
frequency, the people who meet, online, virtually, and then in person, it's something that just speaks to my soul. And
Mhm.
the frequencies just seem to match. So whatever that's about, I don't know. But I do know that real and raw resonates with a lot of women over there. Of
Yeah.
course, across the world as well, different countries,
Right.
but predominantly my audience is in the States.
Yeah, I think that we've gone through this whole change over many years of instead of keeping everything quiet because that's what we were told to do. I know my parents' generation, who are the boomers, um, it was keep it quiet. Nothing comes out of the house. Nobody needs to know anything. And I was definitely a rule breaker because I
Yeah.
would talk about things. And I think people are finally starting to realize that holding this all in, we lose connection, we lose part of ourselves, part of our souls. And one thing that I have realized about the U.S. is very based on individuality. You live your life, you do your thing, you focus on you, maybe your direct immediate family. And I think that that's come about partially because you keep it quiet, keep it to yourself, and we don't share that with our village. And we're starting to see that you need that village. So, if you know somebody who is thinking like, I really want to start talking more vulnerably and being more honest and raw and open, what would you say is there would be a really good kind of first step or microdose of
Yeah, yeah,
being
yeah.
brave?
The first step is a dare to share.
Mm.
And you can do this, live. You can do this on a podcast. You can even do it in a written format if
Mhm.
you prefer. But sharing something, and it doesn't have to be like a big T, right? Like this can just literally be anything that you've never shared before publicly. but you desire to, right? Caveat that you desire to, but something has been holding you back because what you'll find is once you start, you won't want to stop. It's
Mhm. It's like
just,
awareness. It's
yeah. And the
there, and it's
feeling of
speaking.
liberation and the feeling of truly being seen. You know, we talk about visibility a lot. A lot of it is lip service. True visibility is when you're seen for who you really are. And when you start sharing in that real and raw, authentic way, that's when you'll feel what that feels like.
Mhm. I've always said there's no such thing as perfection. And when I was a kid, my mom used to say things like, I want this room spotless. And I would
Yeah,
say back to her, there's no such thing as spotless. And I know she was like, oh my God, she's so fresh. But for me, it was like, well, if I dust, I turn around and 2 seconds later, there's more dust.
so
So I
true.
was being literal. There's no such thing as perfection, but I know she was like, oh, I can't take it with this kid.
Yeah.
But so speaking of perfection, we don't believe in perfection. A word that you might want to take out of your vocabulary in the coming year.
Ooh, take out of it. Let me think. I don't know.
Or a phrase. I know for me a long time ago it was I can't because that's what I believed. I can't. I said it for
Yeah, I mean,
everything.
I a lot of them I don't say anymore. I mean, I can't think of one that I still say, but if we're talking about ones that I've said in the past, it would be like I am, right? Like whatever
Mhm.
that is, I am, because I think identity is such a powerful thing and we don't really give it the gravitas that it has over us. So you need to be very careful with what comes after those two words.
Mhm.
And yeah, for a long time, I held on to identities that were just not mine to carry, but they kept me in a certain frame of mind and a certain mindset, and also in a certain way of being,
Mhm.
because that was who I was at my core. So yeah, I can't think of one that I still use anymore, but definitely in the past,
Yeah.
like I am XYZ, that actually is not something that I would want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have like a theme song or a song that you always play to like psych yourself up?
It changes.
Yes.
Yeah, depending on what I like at the time.
Mhm.
For a long time, it was Prima Donna Girl, I don't, by Marina and the Diamonds, I think it's called.
Okay.
Because, do you know why? Because I've always wanted a lot out of life.
Mhm.
I've always demanded a lot out of life. And most of my childhood, most of my adulthood, I was told that that was being selfish, that that was being too much, that I wanted too much. In fact, when I was a kid, my mum used to play the Queen song, I Want It All. And she'd be like, Claire, it's your song. And I was like, yeah, it is.
And that's a
But
good one to have.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was made to be a bad thing. And so that prima donna song, actually, even though a lot of people are like, oh, it's a bit, like we shouldn't be like that. For me, it was that ownership of
Mhm.
I am like that, and why the hell shouldn't I be?
Yeah. And I think music is, we talked about frequency. Music is frequency. We are frequency. It can completely change how you feel,
Oh
what you're
yeah.
doing. It's just one of the most amazing things. And everybody can hear, even if they don't understand the words because they may be in a different language, everybody can feel
Yeah.
the music. So, one last question for you. What would your definition of living a life beyond BS be?
Being true to yourself, but
Mm,
really true. Like not being in lip service, not saying what you think you should say, not doing what you think you should do, not being who you think you should be,
mhm.
but coming back to your core, to your truth, to your soul, and living from that space. I think to me, that removes all of the BS, and that is the most fulfilling kind of life that you can have.
Oh, yeah. You can dance to anything, you can get up and feel great, and it's living happily. I love it.
Absolutely.
Claire, thank you so much for being here with me today. I love this conversation. I cannot wait for Austin. I'm going to put all your information about your fantastic magazine that's coming out. We didn't even get to chat about
I
that.
know, I'm so
But Claire's got a
excited.
beautiful magazine coming out that I cannot wait to read. And it comes into your email, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll put the link in the show notes for anybody who's interested. And I want to say, if you found this episode interesting or helpful, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, and share with anybody that you think would love hearing this. Check the show notes for ways to connect and work with me, and just check out Claire and what she's up to. And I want to say thank you so much for sharing this space with me. My hope is that you walk away knowing that you have the power to choose differently. Go live fully, freely, and unapologetically. Your life beyond BS starts now. I'm so grateful you were here today. Remember, your peace, joy, and happiness aren't found in the BS. They're found in your choices. If this episode spoke to you, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe, and share it with a friend. For ways to connect or work with me, check the show notes or visit heathermcnally.com. Until next time, keep choosing you and keep living your life beyond BS.